Alright, so here we go. It's been a while since I've recorded any videos. That's mainly because, or in part because I've been looking at getting another SSD, as the one I'm using right now is full. I like to record onto my solid state drive just because of the faster speeds. Um, so yeah, I've been kind of struggling to keep the one I have now cleared up, but pretty soon here I'll get a new one and start making a few more videos here. But anyhow, I thought I'd make a quick video, just giving a quick tour of my project here. Maybe I'll give you guys some ideas. Alright, so I'm just sitting at Concourse B here at Spokane International Airport. I guess one thing I should note right off here is that I am using SweetFX. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's kind of a shader that modifies the default shaders in FSX, so I can turn it off real quick here. So this is what default FSX looks like. SweetFX also does some filtering, and so it looks a little, the lines aren't quite as crisp with it off. But anyhow, this is how it looks with SweetFX off. Here it is on. Yeah, and by the way, I definitely highly recommend SweetFX if you haven't looked into that. Alright, so I think I'll just kind of press Y here and just kind of slew around my terminal. Let's see. Sorry guys, this isn't very well planned out, so I'll just see how it goes. I'm going to just go to my panel here and alright. So, here's one thing I'm actually very proud of having created is Jetway. It's actually probably one of the harder things to create, at least to create in SketchUp. Just a little more complex geometry than, the rest of the terminal is pretty much a box, but Jetway took a little took a little more thought processing. You can take a look here. Some of the textures, I can see on that. I think it's electrical unit right there. You see there's some shadows there just on the textures, and these textures are all hand done. There are no photorealistic textures. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but just kind of a disclaimer there. One thing I really find helps is adding a lot of shading on your model. So here, like on this piece right here, I added some nice shadows. Another thing you'll notice, if you haven't already, is that there's a reflection on these windows. Now this isn't actually reflecting the simulator itself. It's actually a kind of a fake reflection. It makes a nice, pretty nice effect though, and you'll notice that it moves as this perspective changes as you move. So that's pretty neat. I had the reflection amount turned down, so it's not quite as obvious as maybe it used to be, or I've had it at times. But there you can kind of see things moving across here. And again, I'll be making a video on how to create reflections and also the specular effects on windows, which is just the sunlight kind of reflecting off the windows. Here, let me see if I can find a good example of that. Well, here's a little window. So you notice there's a reflection, but there's also kind of a sun effect. It doesn't work too well on that. Let me go find a good window for this here. Here we go. See now. So you notice here, you change the angles. This window's pretty much whited out from the sun. We change the angle a little more. It starts this being a little more visible, and you can see a nice specular effect right there. And again, that's all something I have planned in the future to make a tutorial on. Here we're already at Concourse C now. not a whole lot to say about it. I'm just going to kind of go around the terminal so you guys can take a look at it. One thing I can say though is adding a lot of just contrast in your textures seems to help. Especially when you're creating your own textures, you need to kind of give a little more interest. You'll notice these windows. You might recognize these textures from one of my first videos I made or recorded. You know, the door textures, I thought they turned out pretty well. Have quite a bit of depth to them. And also notice that the reflection is on this window too. You see it kind of moving across there. There also has sun effects, but the way the sun is shining right now, you're not going to get those. And again, you'll notice, hopefully you can see my mouse here, but you'll notice the shadows here on the texture, so it kind of gets darker as you get further in towards the window there. Alright, kind of continuing down kind of the pickup area. I will have this all nicely filled in with like asphalt or something here. Maybe some trees in the center here. I think there's trees like that in the real airport, but I can't remember here at the moment. You can see the sun reflecting off that window up there on the top screen. There's still some texture work to do. I need to kind of rework these textures. I just applied those real quick to at least have at least something stuck on there. I think there's a little bit too much shadows going on in this texture. A little too dark there. A little too much contrast, but I'll probably lighten that up a little bit. These beams are not textured yet. That's just a default SketchUp texture. Signs. Yeah, so I better step up the pace a little bit here. I don't want to bore you too much here with this. It's a parking garage. I want to make a video on how I created this spiral ramp at some point. I downloaded a useful plugin for SketchUp called ShapeBender. It saved me for as far as making this ramp. Okay. You notice the roof texture has quite a bit of kind of a dirt on it, and you notice that there's a little more dirt towards the gutter of the roof here. Okay, so kind of coming around here. It's kind of baggage claim area, car rental area. I want to add a bunch of I want to add like a parking lot out here where they're, and again that's all in the real life terminal, so I wanted to model that. Here's the big rotunda of the terminal. It's kind of what it's known for, I guess. I think you've obviously seen that before in some videos. Not in the simulator, but at least in SketchUp. Here, take another quick look at the textures here on the air unit here. Here's I'm not sure. These are actually should be steps here. I'm not sure if I'm going to model those or not. I might just leave it as a ramp. Still trying to decide, or I might just make kind of a staircase texture for this here, but I'm not quite sure yet. Let's see. Here's our light poles, which obviously you've seen. I'm going to switch to night here pretty quick so I can show you some of the night textures. In fact, I think I'll do that right now. We're already eating up quite a bit of time here. Alright, so let me switch to night textures now. I'll show you some of the night lighting and some effects I've placed for the light poles. Okay, so the sun has just set there in the west. Night textures and everything are up and running on the terminal. Still, again, the night textures are still kind of a work in progress, but I'm getting there. I forgot, actually had didn't have my effects placed right at the moment. for my light poles. I need to fix that, but you kind of see how that's going to work once I get them positioned a little better. They're actually kind of behind the light pole right now. But I'll explain. I want to make a tutorial on how to create these effects. I originally said I was going to show you how to make light splash, like kind of like a 3D light splash, but I kind of decided not to do that because there's a couple side effects that I don't know. I didn't really find them too pleasing, and there wasn't really a fix for it. But sometime here I can always link to that, to the tutorial that showed how to make 3D lights. That's a written tutorial, and I'll link to that at some point, at least so you guys can check that out. Still some night lighting stuff to do on the window frames. You can see some of those specular effects there, reflecting the sun setting there. So kind of change the angle. These garage door textures. Little night lighting to be done here yet. So yeah, still kind of a work in progress. And also I still need to add light splash to the ground here. Just won't be 3D like I was saying. I'll come over here and get a nice closer look at the Jetway. Kind of show you where the... Here I just had to kind of visualize where the light might strike on these jetways. So notice here it's kind of shaded, just a little light shining on that. I imagine that there'd be a light kind of inside here. Sorry guys, I keep jumping around. Harold, you notice there's a little bit of light bouncing off of that. Again, that's just a black layer applied over the texture and then parts erased to make it look like lighting. There's a little light on the railing here, the staircase, or in this case it's a ramp right now, and light on here, but you'll notice how towards the bottom it's a little darker than on the top. And that just adds a little nicer effect, I think. Sometimes at least when I was creating night lighting, I found that I had to kind of rework the textures and remap them to be able to accommodate everything that I wanted to do. Especially like this, I had to create a new texture for the sides of the Jetway. Just because of the way it's mapped and the way I want the night texture to show up, I had to do that. I have a little problem here yet to fix. I'm thinking it has to do with the night texture, but I'm not sure. You'll notice that this wall is just kind of a repeated texture, and so it's just kind of a repeated light glow on the wall there. Still need to light the parking garage. I was thinking just a nice dim glow inside the parking garage, not too much. Okay, coming back around Concourse A, you can see I have the Southwest logo on these jetways here, which obviously means that they are Southwest jetways. Incidentally, I am a member of SWAvirtual.com. It's a great virtual airline if you're looking to join one. Little shameless plug. Yeah, and I haven't added any of the other flags to any of the other jetways yet, obviously. And right back to the baggage claim area. I'll just do a quick pass around here. You can see the night lighting here. And what I might do actually is, after I kind of finish this little segment up, I'll go and kind of run through my textures real quick, just look at the texture sheets to kind of get an idea of how they look. Alright, so here's Concourse C entrance. You'll notice how the light is brighter towards the window, a little darker as it gets a little farther away on this beam here, or on all the beams. Nice kind of glare from the sunset on that side. But anyhow, yeah, it's still kind of still a little rough in spots, but it's getting there. And again, when this is finished, I plan to kind of finish up the terminal and a little, maybe a little cars or something, trees and stuff, just around the vicinity of the terminal. And I'll plan to have the apron around the terminal all modeled. And then I'll be releasing this as freeware, and then I will release this kind of on a non-schedule basis. I'll release updates to this that will kind of expand the airport. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm up to, aside from making all these videos. And stay tuned. I don't know why I'm closing this yet, because I want to show you some other things real quick. Let's do that. Alright, so let's go to computer. You see that my if you didn't caught that, you can see that my SSD was pretty full there. Alright, let's navigate to my textures here. Where are they? Oh, that's right, my documents. Right, this is kind of my designated folder for all the textures. It might even be a better idea to go to the convert folder, if I can find one. I may not have one. Here, usually I have a convert folder with all the folders on. There it is. Nope. With all the textures that I'm using on my terminal at the current time. Here we go. Alright, so here's a garage door texture. I'm going to combine this texture on a different texture sheet at some point. Here's the sides of the jetways. This is for the bottom of the jetway, where there basically is no light shining. This is the top, and here's the side. Here's another texture map for the jetway. You can see the Southwest flag here. Kind of the doors to the jetway. Air unit here. Then again, these are all the night textures, of course. I think that's a jet specular texture. Not a whole lot to see there. Alright, these look like, I don't think I'm using those at the moment. None of those. There's the night lighting for the light pole. Not sure what that is. I don't think I'm using it. Night texture for some of the windows. I think that's for kind of the baggage area. A specular texture. Here's another baggage area texture, which I think I'm going to combine with something else, maybe, or maybe not. Haven't decided yet. Here's night texture. This is kind of down towards Concourse C. There's a night texture for Concourse C entrance. Let's see. Here's some of the night textures for the signs. Again, a few more textures. Let me go through. See, is that all of them? Oh, that's right, because now don't have any more there. Let's see, here's more of the textures. Here's daytime texture for Concourse C entrance, which you might recognize. That's kind of, I don't know, that's just kind of a concrete wall texture. And when I say I handmade these, some of these textures I did download kind of a texture from, I downloaded a texture from CG Textures and then I modified it. But a lot of these are actually completely handmade, like this one. These are all just wall textures, all seamless textures. That's for the, that texture is for the roof. That's for the sidewalk. There's some other textures. So yeah, that ran through a few of them there. Anyhow, so I hope that was at least somewhat interesting and it wasn't too boring. Again, this is my Spokane International Airport project. Again, it's still a work in progress. I will occasionally post updates to my project on, or updates of where I'm at on my project on Facebook. And again, I will be releasing this as freeware when I when and whenever I finish it. I'm doing this purely on a casual schedule. So yeah, just stay tuned and watch out for some more videos. Hopefully in the near future. See ya.